Where we make our money is when we're 100% occupied. 30 days is a good sweet spot. Availability is the number one thing when working with temporary housing. If you do not have a duplicate listing while running your temporary housing midterm rental operation, you are leaving a lot of money on the table. And in a second, I'm going to show you why. My name is Ruben. I'm a temporary housing specialist, where we help investors nationwide turn their quarterly income into their monthly income by being very strategic and going business to business as opposed to going business to consumer the way traditionally folks do on Furnish Finder and Airbnb. So what is a duplicate listing and why is it important? First of all, you need a duplicate listing because you want to make sure that availability is the number one thing when working with temporary housing. Why? Because their leases and terms can be flexible. So if you're showing not as available as today, it's going to cost you. What you want to do is always make sure you're available. Now, how does this work? It means you have to have two listings. Our number one strategy is to work with, again, these temporary relocation companies nationwide that are looking to house displaced families. And the number one thing they're looking for is availability across all platforms, right? Whether you're on Furnish Finder, whether you're on Zillow, but specifically in this situation, I'm speaking about Airbnb because it is one of the highest traffic areas on the web when it comes to folks looking for housing, including relocation specialists. And the reason why you want to make sure you have a duplicate listing is because there's a good chance that if you are not booked, I always advise you to do is you have short-term rental listing that's available to accept short-term rental guests. But at the same time, you're also preparing for that huge, again, contract or long-term contract that's a 3 month, 6 months, 9 month stay. And the way to do that is by being available. So number one, you're going to want to make sure you have a traditional account with Airbnb where you're doing your short-term rentals, right? And you have your traditional listings on there for short-term rentals, right? Making sure you follow the ordinances for your specific town and whatever the case might be. You do your part there, operate like a short-term rental operator. On the other hand, you have a corporate account. I'd recommend having a separate Airbnb account just for temporary housing, where that listing is going to be, again, completely wide open. You want to be as available as possible, way months out. We're talking about 12 months out, 18 months out, as far out as you can go. And then you remove that instant book because you always want to be ready for business. It's as if you're showing an ad. It's as if you're showing a sign that says we are open for business always, even if you're not. Because I can say from experience, when someone is inquiring today, they may be able to move in next week or even next month, that is, even 2 months down the line. But just the fact that you get in touch with them opens up the conversation to see how you can further accommodate the family with respect to the current bookings that you have. Now, this is where I want to turn back the conversation. Your STR listing can be the death of you if you do not operate it the way you're supposed to. Traditional business to consumers operators, that means people who are letting transient guests stay, again, rightfully so, they got to make their money one way. But what happens, the way you can shoot yourself in the foot is by accepting bookings too far out. With respect to your marketplace, it's best practice for you to have a 30-day window, right? Because within a 30-day window, like I said, if someone inquires on your other listing, you can always say, hey, listen, this is going to be available in the next 2 weeks or a week from now, or maybe in the next 3 weeks. Would that still work? Can we make things work? And then you can make the necessary business decisions, like as if you need to cancel something for your short-term rental booking for a juicy 6-month stay, don't get the order wrong. Always secure the other one first and then cancel. Although you don't want to cancel and be penalized for it, it's easier to cancel a couple of bookings within the 30-day window than it is to start canceling things out 2 to 3 months out. And this is where the dynamic pricing tool comes in. What you want to do is you want to set yourself up in a way that will allow you to not have to manually come in every single day and to make sure that the window for booking is the appropriate price. So one way you can really put some guardrails into so people don't book too further out is by setting up premium price to go up within a 30-day window. If you want it to be more than 30, you can do 45. If you want it to be less, you could do 15 days, whatever your marketplace serves. One good tip is to understand what are people's lead time in your marketplace, right? And you want to be right within that lead time. Lead time can also be found on your booking details on Airbnb. It can tell you that All lead time means is how long are people looking to. 30 days is a good sweet spot. Some folks are looking way earlier. Some fall within a little bit within that range. So it's important for you to know. If you're currently getting value from watching this video, you'll want to make sure you take a second and click below to grab the midterm rental insurance blueprint to help accelerate your process in being able to land these midterm rental insurance contracts with respect to your marketplace. Make sure you click the button below and grab it and continue on with the gems in this video. And in a second, I want to show you how we actually do this, where you're going to be able to actually do this in your dynamic pricing tool. So when you come into Price Labs, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and go to the left-hand tab, the section that says edit, and when you're in the edit, you want to go to the far out prices. Now I want to show you what I did here. You have several options. I do a percentage, a flat percentage. You can do it whatever serves you, but I just want to show you how you can, just by setting custom far out pricing, once you toggle that on, you can do after 30 days, you apply 75% premium. So as I'm recording this, top right hand of the screen here, this is June 22nd, you'll see that if I go back to my calendar, and again, you always want to save your changes. If I go back to my calendar, what you'll end up seeing is my prices. Remember, this is June 22nd, so we want to go out 30 days. So we're going to go to July. Outside of July 22nd, my prices will go up by a premium. Where? Let's have a look. The 22nd, look at my base prices here, 216, 174, 205. All of a sudden it jumps to 639, then 1218, 1706. Now you might be asking yourself, why are you putting it that high? Because if it's priced that high, there's two things that I'm telling the marketplace. Hey, if you're going to book 30 days out, book it at your own risk and you're going to pay me a premium, or I'm going to discourage you from booking outside of that 30-day window. Why? Because I always want to be prepared to have the opportunity to only accept MTR bookings outside of that window, which means that I want folks to STR bookings to book within the 30-day window, but I don't want them to book outside of that window, because it doesn't put me in a situation when I get a midterm rental booking on the other platform that it prevents my STR guests from booking outside of that window, so that I can continue to have control and guardrails in my business. So what you're doing on your STR listing, this is your STR listing, you're setting up a premium outside of the 30-day window to disincentivize guests from booking outwards, and that's outside of that 30 days, and that is how you get control in your listing, so that when you do get an inquiry on the midterm rental listing, on the midterm rental account, on that Airbnb separate account that you set up, you can then say, yep, it will be available in the next 2-3 weeks, or maybe even next week, or maybe you don't have it that far, but you have some level of control. The reason this is important is because it is so critical for you to be able to get the best of both worlds. If you're not getting midterm rental insurance contracts, it doesn't have to be crazy margins, but even the longevity in this business, right? When you're occupied for 6 months or 3 months or even 2 months or even maybe 9 months, the math there adds up. And where we make our money is when we're 100% occupied. So we want to make sure we're giving ourselves a shot of landing these longer contracts by being available. And one way to do that is to put guardrails on your short-term rental listing by leveraging a dynamic pricing tool that controls the price within a 30-day window and makes it extremely unlikely that someone will book outside of that. Now keep in mind, on the short-term rental listing, we don't do instant book. We always want to approve anyways to have more control, but again, we know that it's a tactic that Airbnb does like to have. It puts things in your favor when you do have instant book, but if someone were to instant book outside of this 30 days windows, it means that you just secured the bag, a very large one, so you win anyway if you're going to do it that way. We don't do instant books because we want to have control, but either way, even if you did, you'd be secured that someone would book out our premium. That's also another hack. If someone's actually booking your STR listing and you got a booking there and someone extends for longer, sometimes we have insurance companies who book our STR listing, and if they're going to book outside of that 30-day window, it's going to be at a premium. Now, it's just so that you have more control for your business, and that if someone does book outside, you are securing the bag, and if they don't, you are then having control on your listing. Make sure you apply this because it can be a game changer. This is the number one and why people are not getting bookings, and it certainly will not be a reason for you. If you got value from this video, make sure you check out the how to price your midterm rental property video.